Welcome, welcome, welcome to the very first episode of Test Model. Test Model is a show where I paint one single miniature just until I'm happy with it. I know, it's a big deal, Now, to start off, I decided I would go small, and I went really small, okay? Here is a 50-cent piece for reference. They're the same size. But despite that, he was actually really fun to paint up, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So without further ado, let's get painting. Well, here the little guy is, the Stabba Grot from the Killboys Kill Boss kit. He is such a cool little guy, and such a cool sculpt as well. Now I'm going to start by painting his flesh, and for his flesh, I use Vallejo Bright Green, I use Contrast Orc Flesh, and I use Flayed One Flesh. Now, all of these give a nice gradient when you mix them. For all the green, I'm just base coating them with Orc Flesh, and then I go and I mix Bright Green with Orc Flesh, just so I can get a nice mid-tone. Now you have to be very careful here not to go too thick, like I did, and just completely remove all of the work that you've just done, which is actually what I did. Now I go back in with just pure bright green, and I once again go way too thick. So that wasn't ideal, but I recovered from it. And then I mix in some Flayed One Flesh to the bright green, just for the final highlights, just to make it look extra poppy. You really have to trust the process on this, okay? There's really no other way to describe it. Now, while I'm letting that dry, I go and I do all the reds. So, for red, I base coat with Evil Sunz Scarlet, and then I use Felmax Yellow to lighten it. It looks a bit orangey, but I don't mind it being orangey. Everything gets a base coat of Evil Sunz Scarlet. I do it pretty thinly, so some of them get 2 coats, but I don't mind the patchiness. Now I go and I do the ropes, and I use Mournfang Brown. Now, I started to paint the ropes on camera, but it's extremely difficult to paint them with a big old camera in your face, so I actually did it off camera, and it was so much easier. I'm so glad I chose to do that. Boom, there you go, done. Wasn't that easy? Now I go and I touch up all the red that I actually missed, which was a lot. I missed a lot of red, and I get it everywhere and I try to clean it with my finger. I fail at that one, but you live and you learn. Now it's time to bring in that Felmax Yellow. I just mix it with some red, about 50-50, so I can get a nice orange, and I put that over all of the larger surfaces and all of the really raised surfaces. I just want to build some variation in the colours here. And as you can see, it looks interesting, but it really doesn't come together until you start to lighten it even more. Then you can really see the depth. So that's what I'm doing here. It looks really bright at the moment, but trust me, it does stop being that bright, okay? And I'm just putting that over all of the places I think deserve it. I also colour in these eyes yellow. I don't know how much I like this, but I'm doing it because it, once again, creates more variation. It's something to look at. I also do his little eyes, but I do change them later to be red because I wasn't a fan of the yellow. Now I go back in with a lighter green once the original skin is dried, and I just try to bring it out a bit more, make it pop. And now it's for the metal. I use Iron Hands Steel, and Vallejo silver, and I put them over everything that's metal. Like his little face. I do his helmet out of focus on purpose to build intrigue. So there wasn't a mistake. Yeah, see, here I go and I make them red because the yellow with the silver just didn't really work. I also applied that red to the armor and the shield just to add some more saturation, because the yellow got rid of some of that. That's the only reason. Now to do his little skirt, I use Gene Stealer Purple. I do this on all of my Krill boys. I think purple contrasts really nicely to the red and the green. I think it just looks really nice. It's a nice little detail. It's something that makes my Krill boys unique. Now I go in and I highlight all of the metal. I'm using the silver here. Such a lovely paint. I do the helmet out of focus again to build even more intrigue. I'm so mysterious. And there he is. He is very close to done. I just put some Mornfang brown on his base, and then it's time to go on to the glamour shots. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're new here, go check out my channel. Have a look at some of my other videos. If you're a really avid supporter of the channel, you can go follow me on Instagram at pinkhoodie_paints. That would help me out a ton. And yeah, tell people about me. I'm just starting out. This is the very first episode. Any suggestions, leave them in the comments. And have a good day.